Okay, I think we're on. Hello, guys. We're back. Yes, shoes. They're canvas. It's a canvas we can paint on it. Yeah, actually, these are Keds, and they were on sale on Amazon, and they're just exactly what I love to wear. A nice thick sole. They hold up well in the garden, and you know, this brand is usually very well made. Okay, we're gonna paint on them today. I wanted to jump on here and run a video just in case there's folks out there that wanna learn how to paint on shoes. I did this for the longest time. I did custom shoes. For the guys, it was the high tops, the leather, and for most of the women, it was slip-on canvas shoes. It was fun while it went on. But I have to say, the women are a lot more pickier than the men. The men just would reach out to me when I was on Etsy, and they'd reach out to me immediately and just say, I want this and this, can you do it? I'm like, yeah. And I'd give them a price and nothing else other than they paid me. Short and sweet. And most of those men high tops were sports related. And oh my goodness, I did so many of them. And then for the women, I did a lot of either the leopard look, I did a lot of beach scenes, oceanfront scenes, and then a lot of flowers. Those were my biggest sellers, or orders. Okay, we're gonna start on this one here. And you want to use, if you're doing a canvas, then you want to use your fabric paint. And I have used a couple other brands, but this is my absolute favorite. Deco Art So Soft Fabric Acrylics. Ooh, easy for me to say. And if you are painting on leather, let's say some leather high tops, then what I used then was my glass paint, my paint that I used on glass. It's called enamel paint. And enamel paint will set up very, very nicely on leather. Enamel paint, you just gotta learn how to work with it. And again, it's watering it down. Same thing with your fabric paints. You just gotta water them down just like you do your regular acrylics. And then what I do is, if it's an order, after I finish, I will let them dry for a couple days, and then I'll toss them in the dryer and let that heat set them. Or, right now, I could put them outside for about an hour, and they would heat set just nicely. Okay, so I'm just gonna do, for me, I love leopard print, crazy about it, and it's super, super simple. And so we're going to mix up a light, or I would say, yeah, about a light medium brown. Light, more light than medium. And because it, you know, of course it's two shoes, you either, let's say you were doing this for an order and you needed the background color and you're mixing it up, and you need it to be exact, obviously, on both shoes. I mean, you can come close. You know, once it's dried on your palette, you could look at it and go, wait a minute, I can reproduce that. But what I used to do is, if I was mixing a color for a pair of shoes, and I wanted to make sure my background color was exact for each shoe, then I would mix it up a whole lot, put it on another plate, like half it up, and then I'd put that plate, cover it with another styrofoam plate, and then put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the fridge until I was ready to use that paint on a second shoe. Okay, we need that a little bit darker and probably way more to cover a shoe. It's been a while since I've done shoe. Well, I did some shoes last year. But But, you know, again, it's for me. And plus I thought, well, you know what? This would be a great tutorial to show. So I'm not going to worry about getting more paint than I need, so both shoes, because I know I can probably get close to matching this tan color up that I want to use. See, I need to go a little shade darker. And this is a personal preference. You could do it, if you were doing leopard, let's say, or zebra, you could do it in turquoise. Oh my gosh, you could do it in reds. You could do it in, of course, browns, oranges for the fall. You could do it in all kinds of colors. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. Yeah, I just need it to be like a medium tan color. And I'm sure I'm gonna have to mix up more, but because it's so warm outside and I have fans going, I'll just mix up more as I need it instead of putting my plate full of paint. Okay, so all I'm doing is getting it a medium brown, well, medium tan. You know, this is when your bad brushes come in handy. You know, I don't throw a brush away until they're coming off the handle. And then sometimes I'll tape them because they're such an awesome brush. But these are brushes that have lost their shape, but they come in handy for stir brushing, stir brushes, pouncing, blending, in this case, doing shoes. Because when you are working with a canvas shoe, it's just like a regular stretch canvas in the sense that you've got these itty bitty tiny little spots in there, little crevices up and down. And so to get a good coverage, you have got to press in that area really well and just keep going. And when you're doing that though, you're running the brush. You don't want to use one of your good brushes. I mean, it's, yeah. But a good brush that's gone bad is the best kind to use on here because it'll hold up to all that pouncing without losing hairs and, you know, hairs dried in your paint. Oh, it's awful. And so I can get super close to this edge. Now, I've seen people when they do shoes and they tape off, and, you know, that's fine. You could do that. I've never bothered. I just get as close as I can, and then a lot of times I might use like a smaller scruffy brush and just get really, really, really close. But that's your, you know, it's my personal preference on that. All right, let's start with, I think we're gonna use this one. It's got a little bit more thickness to it. Okay, as always, wetting your brush. Wipe it off. Grab you a little bit of that tan color. And I'm getting as close as I can. Am I showing up? Okay, good. Close as I can without getting it on the rubber. See, you can get pretty darn close. Slow and easy. And if I wanted to take my liner brush and get even closer, I can do that. Now, once I'm out in this area, you just want to pounce. You can do this, you know, stroking, but I found that pouncing works best all over the shoe because you'll get it. Let's see, how do I explain this? It'll be usually the same amount of paint if you're pouncing. If I'm brushing like this and then, you see, I'm not getting complete coverage. There's a little bit of splotches there. But by pouncing, I'm getting really good coverage. Yeah, super easy. But, and of course not to let it intimidate you at all, because it's just, I mean, it's a pair of shoes. Come on. Um, but if you mess up, if you mess up in a way, then your best bet is just to paint the whole shoe again, because there's no washing it off. It's on there. But you don't have to heat set the fabric paint if you don't want to. You just, if it's not an order that has to go flying out the door anytime soon, just let the shoes sit for about a week, and they'll cure, what they call cure, up nicely. The other thing I also do is I'll spray them with Scotch Guard. On the canvas shoes, yes, Scotch Guard is wonderful. And I would do about 2 to 3 coats if it was an order going out the door. And again, using that, what I call the, I don't know, cross hatch, cross spray, where, in other words, let me smooth this out and I'll show you. In other words, when I go to spray my shoes, using Scotch Guard, then I would spray my shoe this direction, okay, and then let it dry, and then I would spray the shoe this direction, opposite, let it dry, and then do it again. That gives it like that, kind of that weave of a great protection. And folks can wipe their shoes off and everything. They could take a little rag, let's say they got mud on them, after being Scotch Guard, they can wash them off with a little rag, easy peasy. Now, I wouldn't put them in the wash machine unless you just don't care much about the paint anymore. The paint would hold up in the washer, but between the washer and dryer, I've never tried both. So maybe it might make it through the washer and then let them sit out to dry. Okay, I think you get the hang of it. And when you're going over the stitching of the shoe, again, it's if it is an order going out the door, you want to really rub that area where that stitching is, so the paint gets in there, covers it very, very well. All right, let's do a little bit more before I go off camera to finish. So filling my brush up with paint, the old scruffy brush, getting as close and slow and easy next to the sole. Yeah, it's already starting to dry. Around front. This, I've done quite a few kids' shoes as well. And, oh man, they work up so cute and so fast and easy. I've done infant shoes before. You can put a monogram on them. Oh, you can do all kinds of things. I think I even still have some pictures of my shoes I've done. You can also put this on canvas bags, personalize a bag very nicely. See, I just work my way around the shoe. And when I get close, I just try to slow down a little bit. Nice and easy. yeah, so keep in mind, once you paint your shoe and it's dried for, let's say, 24 hours, then grab you some Scotch Guard and do that, that weave type spraying. Then let them sit for another 24 hours and they're ready to go out the door. You don't have to put them in the dryer to set the paint. That's really just, again, a personal preference, because you got that Scotch Guard on there. If you don't have Scotch Guard, then yes, I would definitely throw them in the dryer or put them outside in the sun for about an hour. You don't want them out in the sun too long, because the sun, you know how it is, it'll bleach them out. I mean, you know, nothing drastic for, you know, an hour or two, but it would fade the color down a little bit. All right, I will finish off this shoe and come back. Okay, I'm almost done with this one shoe, but I wanted to show y'all a couple of things real quick while I'm finishing off. See how this shoe has been made where it kind of rolls right up here at the top? And then, now if you get paint on here, that's not a big deal. If it is for an order, you might want to try not to do that if it's something that you're doing. But for somebody else, maybe. But to get really close between that edge and here, and see, I don't know if you can see the seam right through there. I'm just going to take my paintbrush. You'll probably have to do a close-up on this. And all I'm doing is, it's loaded with paint, and I'm just barely getting close to that. I'm letting the hairs of the paintbrush take care of it. But it is a back and forth thing, so it fills in the canvas, the little canvas holes, filling up with paint. And I'm just going to get as close as I can without crossing over. Sure hope y'all can see this. Okay, so that is done. It's as close as I really want to get. All right, the other thing is the elastic here. Let me get this out of here. This elastic here, you need to open that up some and get the paint in there. See, when you open it up, nothing but white would show, or little splotches of white. So if you press it open with your hand inside the shoe, and just use your scruffy brush to pounce the paint in there, and it will do just fine. It'll dry, and you don't have to open it back up for it to dry. It dries fine. Let's do this other side. Now I can see where there's some places that paint did not get. It gets a little, you can still see a little bit of white. So I spread it open as far as I can. And just press the paint in there. There we go. Now, the other thing is, sometimes when you do, especially if you're working with red, oh my goodness, or any translucent color on a canvas shoe, it can get real splotchy, and it doesn't dry like perfectly all over. In other words, it'll dry splotchy looking. The only thing to do on that is, because red is translucent, or orange, whichever you're using, or yellow, I would do like I've taught before in other classes. I would take that red and mix it with white and get a pink color and cover the whole shoe in pink first. Then I go back with a good straight red. If that pink dries nicely, no major splotches, then I would go back over the shoe in a nice red. and that's going to give you a really nice coverage. Sometimes you do, let's see if it picks up on camera, because of the stopping and starting, sometimes you do get splotches. And if you were wanting to give this as a gift to someone, or it's an order, then I would definitely go back over the shoe again. And since this is right here in front, of course I'm going to put that leopard print, paint that leopard print on front. It really shouldn't matter. But for grins and whistles, we'll go over this part right here. And if you quickly go over it, then you're going to get a good coverage before everything dries. See, it's really splotchy through here, and that can also have a lot to do with whoever dealt with these shoes by putting them in, in a box at the factory. And if they're not, not a bunch of machines doing it, or let's say if you bought shoes at a store and somebody had tried on those shoes before you bought them, and they had lotion on their hands, or some, if a kid touched them and had food on their hands, whatever, then they're going to leave some residue on the shoe. I have seen that happen plenty of times over the years when I was doing shoes. It was like you would almost see a perfect handprint or perfect, once I painted. And I know I didn't touch it. And after a while, it's like it dawned on me, oh my God, somebody has, touched these shoes. They had something on their hands. So all you got to do is just go over it again. Like I said, if it's for an order or a present or something for somebody, then just paint over it again. A lot of times a second coat will just take care of all the splotches. All right. I'm gonna finish the front of this one just so I can show you if you do it all in one coat. It's all going to dry very evenly, and if somebody did touch the shoe with grease of some sort on their hands or lotion or something, usually a second coat will take care of that. Okay, I will finish this one. I'm just going to do the front, and then I'll start on the second shoe doing it. And then I'll come back on and show you how to do the little leopard print. Super, super easy. Okay, I'll be back, guys. Okay, jumping back on here real quick to show you one more tip I just thought about. I am mixing up some more of this medium tan color for the second shoe, and to make sure, get close to the color. Then what you can do is, and like I've always told you, acrylic paint will always dry one shade darker, but I can take this color and see this is the original color I had mixed up, and I can come over here and I can just touch it, and hopefully you can see the difference. And even though this color will dry a darker shade, it's still too big of a difference there. So I know I need to add more brown to the paint and a little bit of water because it's super thick. So we'll add a little bit of water, a little bit of brown, a little bit more water. Now your shoe paint like this can be the consistency of a decent gravy. Nothing super loose, because you really, really want a good coverage. All right, let's see if I'm getting close. Yeah, we're gonna add just a little bit more brown. In other words, I want to be able to see the difference between the brown, the tan I already mixed up. I want to see a little bit, allowing the fact that the fabric paint, the acrylic, will dry a shade darker. And again, this pair of shoes is for myself. And if I was doing this as an order, then I would have mixed plenty in the very beginning, so I don't have to go through all this checking and trying and seeing if it's a close color. All right, it's getting there. Yeah, that's getting way closer, and I think it's going to be just fine. Don't want to lose all that good paint. All right, I'm going to rinse off my dancing brush. A good old blender brush. Man, I tell you what. There's nothing like a good brush. Even though, see, you can tell it's all split, looking all funky. See if you can see that. But man, is it a good brush for a shoe, putting paint on a shoe. Okay, same thing. I'm just gonna hold my shoe. I'm not bothering to taping off anything. I'm gonna show you again real quick. Slow and easy when you get to that edge. And I'm just going back and forth, just so it gets in the little canvas crevices or holes. Slow and easy. Usually I do a little bit close to the sole and then come out a little ways. And just kind of be all scruffy, get it all in there. Now, I bet you 10 to 1, you could probably use an acrylic primer on the shoe, just like you would on a canvas, on a stretch canvas. Let it dry real well, do your painting, and then once that dries real well, you can seal it with a Scotch Guard, and I bet you that would work. But to me, I didn't want to put that extra expensive primer on a pair of shoes. You know, and doing one coat or doing 2 coats worked out just fine. Again, when you're over by the threads, you want to be sure to really dance them in those holes. Same thing where the elastic is. You want to spread that out and just dance in there. You see, that covers it nicely. Okay, I will finish this off camera and be back. All right, both shoes are done. It's got it pretty close to the edge. Still looking just a smidge splotchy, but my leopard print will cover it up. Of course, you know, when I'm painting off camera, I think of all these other things. If you're gonna do these shoes to make some side money, anytime you do shoes, like for instance, like with the red, you want to cover it in pink first, a medium pink, and then go back over it with red, probably 2 coats if I remember correctly, to really get a good coverage of red. Same thing with orange. You would end up covering it with a medium peach, and then go over it twice with a regular orange or whatever orange you're using, pumpkin. I even did a candy corn shoes and then did black stitches around the side. Oh, it was so cute, so cute. I think I still have those pictures. I don't know, we'll see. Now that also brings up black. Some people would think, well, you know, if they want a black background on their shoe, that, you know, if it's a special order, a custom order, why not just order black shoes? Well, the reason being is, for me, what worked out best was to always order white shoes, no matter what the color background was going to be. And then that way I paint it black, and if I needed to do 2 coats, then I would do 2 coats of black on a white shoe, and it covered beautifully. If you get a black shoe and think you're going to cover it in black, it's going to be a lot harder on your eyes to tell where it's the canvas color or if it's your paint color. So it just, I don't know, years of experience, I guess you could say. For me, it worked out so much better just to always order a white shoe and then go from there. A few times I got people, you know, with requests that they would want me to send, they wanted to send their shoes to me, and I would tell them no. No, I buy the shoes, you pay me for obviously the shoes and the work done. That just kind of, the thought of working on someone's shoe that they may or may not have worn. They even would tell me, oh, I've never worn them. I'm like, sorry, that's my rule of thumb. I buy the shoe and do the work on it. And I only offered I think there was 4 or 5 different kinds of shoes, and most of them were very, very popular. The women's canvas shoes, slip-on canvas shoes, the men's high top, or what was the other one? I think it was a low top. It's called something else. Mid top, something like that. Anyway, it worked out nice. It really did. And I was still working a full-time job at the time, so I would do all the work as soon as I'd get home from work. Eat something real quick and head for the craft room. All right, now, to do the leopard print, I'm going to take that same brown, and of course the brown that I'm using is just called Brown by Deco Art So Soft Fabric Acrylics. And when this dries with paint, it's a tad bit rough, but not bad. If you use regular paints on regular acrylic paints on cloth of any kind, it dries super rough. I don't care for that at all. And yes, I've used the fabric medium before, where you take the medium, it's called fabric medium or textile medium, and you mix it with the regular acrylics, and it turns it into a fabric paint. Anytime I've ever tried that, it's always still that very, very rough texture, and I just never did care for it. So I just bought the fabric paint and went with it. All right, what I'm gonna do is I am going to take this brown paint. I don't want it that dark for my spots because my black won't show up as well on top of those that color brown. So we're just going to bring it down a shade or two with a little bit of white. Oh, and I did take my background color that I was using for the shoe and put it in a bag. And so that way, if I need the background color again to cover up a spot or something, I'll have it. Of course, that brings up the other thing. If someone just wants a white shoe background and then you do the paint on it, again, you want to paint the whole shoe white. No matter what, always paint the background, because your white is different from the canvas shoe color white. And think about it, if you made a mistake after the shoe's been covered in white paint, you can always cover it up with your white paint. But if you just paint straight on a canvas shoe that's white, then covering up any mistakes is not going to happen. Your white paint's going to be very noticeable. I hope that makes sense. Okay, taking my little stir brush or my scruffy dance brush, and all I need is a brown that's not this tan color, but then light enough that when I put black, those little black splotches next to it, it's going to show up nicely. And you know, for a first try, that's not too bad. That color is going to work out good. It's definitely a difference here. And then with black, yeah, it'll still be very noticeable. So much for the music I've got playing in the background. Okay. Using a small dancing brush, this one here, it's a number 4 round, and it's messed up, but it makes a good blender brush, dancing brush. I'm going to use it to make my little splotches. You want to keep in mind that you're going to be putting black, 3 splotches of black around this brown spot. So you gotta kind of keep a little bit of a distance between everything. Some big, some small. And they're just irregular shapes. I try to stagger them about the same, but that's when you do like a smaller one up here. Just because that space is a little too empty, I'll just do a small one right there. So just try to do small and medium spots, and it'll turn out just fine. And again, these really, really do make a great shoes for little kids. You can do all kinds of things on them. And of course, babies. Like right there, I can't do a really big one. I'll just do a small one. That's Ethel in the background talking. I think she's trying to play with Jacob. And all I'm doing is dancing and making just irregular spots. I do press it into the canvas. See, we'll do, now I won't do any right there. It's getting a little close. I'll do one right here. Going down the side. Just little spots. Well, we need to do at least 1 or 2 big ones. Just give it the balance that it needs. Oops, sorry, going off camera. Well, if I could just get on camera, that would really be nice. Sorry, guys. And again, just staggering the spots. Up, down, up, down. was a little close, but that's all right. Won't hurt a thing. Because the customer I'm doing these for is picky, but I'm doing them for me. Put a little one right there. And we'll put a little one right there. Now, all I do is just gonna look over and see if there's major empty spots. And if so, I will add a small one. You know what? I think I will. I add a small one right here. Just added a little small one right there. Everything else looks okay. The heel looks okay. Add a little bit more paint. A little bit more paint to that one. Okay. We'll let that dry and we'll start on the second shoe. All right, the second shoe has its spots and it's drying. Now, we take the black. By the way, guys, when I went out there, because Amazon had the Keds, obviously Keds is a vendor of theirs as well, but they were running these white canvas Ked shoes for women, and they were on sale for $19. Then when I went out to their website, to Ked's website, just to see if they had them on sale out there, I didn't see that. They might have, but I might have missed it. But I did see they had Leopard Shoes out there. And if I'm not mistaken, they were like between $40 to $60. Well, you can do your own now. Your own little leopard shoe. Okay, I'm taking this smaller, same brush that I did the spots with. This scruffy number 4 round. It's all kind of messed up. I wet it. And now with a little bit of black paint, we're gonna do 3 spots. Just load up your paintbrush. And we're gonna do 1. Now I know when you first do it, you're gonna think, no way. But yeah, once you see it done, it all starts to come together. Three little spots. That's the way most of them look. And some they're changing the pattern a little bit nowadays, but I still go with this one. Three spots. And of course, you got to be kind of careful with your scruffy brush. Mine, I could probably trim it a little bit because it's got some extra hairs going on out here. But then again, it is supposed to look like leopard's skin. So I guess the little extra hair is just not going to hurt anything, right? All right, let's get the side here. Just think, if your granddaughter or daughter would like a pair of the leopard shoes, you could also do a school bag matching it. Canvas bag. That'd be kind of cool. I have done Christmas shoes. Matter of fact, I still have a pair in my closet that I did for myself in blues. Oh my gosh. It's one of my really nice pieces I liked. But I've done Christmas shoes, and you can do a pattern. I'm here to tell you, you can do a pattern on a shoe. In other words, you paint the background, get your good coverage on the background, and let's say somebody wanted, I don't know, what would be not easy to freehand. Just any shape. A snowman. In my case, I did Christmas bells and a bow, a red bow that I painted on here. And so it would be consistent for both shoes. Instead of trying to freehand it, I would use a pattern. And I would just make sure my pattern was made out of that trace paper, because that trace paper is a lot more flexible than copy paper is. And I'd use graphite paper. You just lay it on there very carefully. You don't move your hand around on top of the pattern a lot, because it will rub off on the shoe. And again, they were white shoes. I painted them white, so when I did the bow and the bells, if graphite paper got on that background, then I would just cover it with white paint. And that worked out really nice. All right. 3 dots, spots, and it starts to look like a leopard shoe. Now what I will do is finish this off camera, but I want to show you, you can, after you do your black spots, you can stop there, and it's a cute shoe. But I always like to add like little small leopard spots. And let's see if we can add a little bit. I'll show you. Finish this side up real quick. Again, just using an old round scruffy brush. And you see the hairs are like sticking out. We're just gonna leave that. Since I'm so close to the sole there, I'll go really slow, just touch it. And you don't have to do one anywhere near it, like this one here. I just make them a little smaller. Same here on this one. I wish there was some kind of alarm that would go off. Hey, you're off camera. All right. Let's show you how I do the little spots. They're just little irregular spots, and I know this is going to probably sound crazy, but you think of like pebbles, little tiny off-shapen, misshapen pebbles. But see, you could stop there. And it's a very cute shoe, very inexpensive. But if you wanted to add a little bit more, then what I do is I take my liner brush, and I will use my liner brush on these. I wet it down, get the hairs wet, make sure dry it off. Grab a little bit of that black, you don't have to water it down. And you would just do a little bit of odd little spots. Just kind of mimics the fur. Okay? And I would just do it here and there. Like for instance on this side here, I'll do a few little spots. Might just be 3, might be 5. Some bigger, some smaller. Odd little shape spots. This is a good time that you have some great teacher to listen to or some good music. You see, see how that turns out? It's just so cute. Or maybe it's just me. I just love that leopard print. It was so popular a few years back. I don't think it's near as popular now, but obviously it must be something if Keds is, or a lot of the other shoe companies are making sure you, they have that to offer. Plus, oh my goodness, this is fall. It will work fine in spring. Goes with almost everything you wear. Okay, now, offline, I'm going to go ahead and, or off camera, finish these spots and add the little small spots everywhere. Then I'm gonna do my second shoe and I'll come back. All right, both shoes are done. And they got their little specs on there. And again, it's a personal preference. You don't have to add all that little extra stuff. It's totally up to you. Yeah, super cute. Now, one more thing. I've seen them do, and I'm probably not gonna do it all over this shoe, but they've come in with a little bit, this is a while back, water down your black paint just a smidge, and then using your liner brush, you're gonna fill up your paintbrush, twirl it off. Last but not least, they would do every so often, they would just come in on one of these spots and make like it's hair, I guess. Let's see. And again, you don't even have to do this. Yeah, it just adds a little bit more to it. Well, since I did it on those 3 spots, I might as well. But yeah, they would do it all over. Well, not every spot, but quite a few. Just add a little bit here and there from one of the black spots. Just little quick strokes. Just like, whew. Yeah, I'm not gonna add it all over mine. I like them just the way they are. Now, what I'll do is I'll let these sit and let them dry for overnight. They dry pretty quick, but I always wait a good 24 hours. And then I will take them out to the garage and I will spray them, but not close together. I usually have them pretty far apart. That way you can get a good sweeping thing. Now, with the Scotch Guard, just spray over them, spray over them, let them dry. Takes probably about, I don't know, 10 minutes. And then you can turn them opposite direction and spray with Scotch Guard. And usually, if it was an order, I would do three coats. And that just reassures that your customer is able to clean their shoe without the paint being rubbed off. That's Scotch Guard. It's a little pricey. Get it into Walmart. It really works though. Works very well. Now, the other thing to add, if you were doing this for an order, maybe even for your own self, before I spray it with Scotch Guard, I would always put like plastic in here and then like a big old wad of paper towels and then spray it with Scotch Guard. That way, just in case your customer is sensitive to that stuff, you really don't want it, you know, if they don't wear socks, you don't want that chemical getting on their skin. So I would always cover this area here. But again, I would put a little bit of sheet of plastic, Ziploc bag, and then put a whole thing of paper towels, like a big old wad, and then that keeps it protected. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this. You like my new shoes? Oh yeah, and I would sign my shoes too. So if you do shoes for other people, sign them. I'd always sign them in the back, right back there. Yeah, I think that's it for now. I hope y'all enjoyed this little class on how to do shoes, and you can do the same thing on a canvas bag. And again, you want to use the fabric paint. I've used Deco Art for years, and it is, to me, the best paint for fabric. For glass, when you're painting on glass or you're painting on leather, I have found that Deco Art has their enamel is great for that. Enamel is wonderful on glass. You can, once you paint on glass, and that's a whole another story. I don't know if we're going to be doing glass in the class anytime soon. But when you're doing on glass, it tells you on the bottle, at least it used to. Once you paint it, let it set up, let it dry real well, and then you pop them in the oven on a real, I think it was like 200-degree oven. That's Ethel. Anyway, another story. Y'all have a great evening.